Well, hello there, everyone. I will give Channel 1 credit on covering a very important story that happened over the weekend. And unfortunately, in order to find that story, you have to go all the way down here, which is ridiculous. This should be the leading local story, but I guess not. But in that regard, we're now going to watch this. So, Channel 1 did a pretty good job. They spent about a minute and 56 seconds covering this awful anti-Semitic attack that happened right after sundown for Shabbat on Friday. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the best quality that I can for this, because you guys are truly a good audience, and I'm very grateful for that when you pay attention to these videos. So without further ado, let's get into the story that happened from Brooklyn over the weekend with the anti-Semitic attack.
A group of men caught on camera punching and kicking their victim in what police are calling a hate crime. The victim, a 21-year-old Jewish man, police say was dressed in traditional Hasidic attire.
It's absolutely ridiculous for anybody to attack anybody in New York or anywhere else based on what they look like, what religion they practice, what kind of clothes they're wearing, how they're walking.
Reaction from New Yorkers walking through the neighborhood where the alleged attack happened, a neighborhood with a large Jewish community. Many Saturday in Hasidic attire walking not far from Jerry Street, where police say Friday night a group of 6 men, unprovoked, targeted their victim for being Jewish.
Nobody ever should be attacked for the way that they look, for who they love, for their religion that they practice. I mean, it's just reprehensible.
Police putting these videos out to the public, hoping to catch all the men. New Yorkers say violence has become far too common.
That's terrible. I think it's one of those things where, because of the time we live in, I'm not surprised. Now more than ever, I think that you have to be on alert and aware of your surroundings, no matter where you are. You don't know when you're on the subway or just walking on a street.
The NYPD tells us between January 1st and March 27th of this year, there were 81 reports of hate crimes in which the victim was Jewish. That's a large increase compared to last year, when in the same time span, there were 20 reported.
It's just terrible that, with everything that's gone on in the world for the past couple of years and what's happening, the war, it's just awful that this is continuing to happen here, and all the hatred, and I just wish we had more respect for everybody else in other cultures.
Now the investigation continues. Police trying to arrest everyone who was involved in this hate crime. If you have any information on this case, you're asked to call Crime Stoppers. In Brooklyn, Arnold Davik, New York 1.
So, Channel 1, thank you very much for covering this. And Williamsburg's been actually seeing a lot of crime lately. So to summarize what happened and what we just saw in the video, a 16-year-old juvenile was arrested. So, again, I don't even want to play this video again. It's just disturbing. And the governor did respond to this. And, they are looking for other suspects in this case here. But it just shows that, this is what's going on here. And look at this. There's not even any specifics on what happened. So what we're going to do is let's take a look and see if there's anything on the Brooklyn paper. Let's see if we can find something. Okay, what we're going to do is find it. Hopefully it is here. Okay, they have it on their AM New York side of things. So, yes, 58 Jerry Street. So let's see where this happened. Because I heard originally that the Jewish man was coming home from Shabbat service. If I am correct. So let's see where this is. I think I know where this is. I think I exactly know where this is. Yep! Right by the Flushing Avenue G train station! Now, the good thing is that this man was seriously injured. Woodhull Hospital's right there. So, again, just very unfortunate. So let's see what this building looked like. Harrison and Jerry. Yeah, I know exactly where this is. Yep. Right around here. This is where the man lived. Out of this building. Now we got a bus blocking here. Let's see if we can get an older view of it. Let's go back to November of 2020. Yeah, that'll be a better view of it. So this is the apartment where the man lived. And I'm thinking, did they just recently... No, okay, it's always been like that. Yeah, but there's always been something here. Maybe this is a school or something. I don't know. But... Oh, here's the building. This is it right here. Okay. So this is across the street from a school, it looks like. Oh, I mean, this doesn't look like a bad building, but, you know... Again, this man was coming home from Shabbat service. In fact, let's see where the nearest synagogue is in this area. Let's find out. Just curious. Let's see. In this area, where's the closest synagogue? Yep. You have a lot of congregations in this area. Yep. So, obviously, just disturbing, to say the least. I mean, I know Williamsburg very, very well. There's a lot of Hasidic Jews who live here. You know? This is their home. And, you know, the area of Williamsburg that they are referring to is south of 5th Street. Now, if you know Williamsburg very, very well, that's where most of the Hasidic Jewish community does live in Williamsburg. So, there you go. I mean, this is clearly, again, on Eric Adams' hands. Alright? And a lot of people in the Hasidic Jewish community actually voted for Eric Adams. Funny enough, but some did vote for Curtis Lewa. But that's not the point. So, again, Channel 1 deserves some redemption, but there's other crime that got ignored here in Queens, as usual. So let's see, because I want to, yeah, see, it's only on the AM New York side. I don't know what's going on with Schnepp's Media, but anyhow, what I want to do is move this over so you all can read this. So let's get into the news that's being ignored in Queens. And then, lastly, I'm going to read something disturbing in Manhattan. Because I'm not happy with what I read in AM New York today. So let's just focus on Queens first, because we have a lot to get into. Our first story was, and this broke overnight, a woman was found unconscious in it appears to look like a karaoke bar in Flushing. Here we go. Cinderella Lounge, 147-38 Northern Boulevard in Flushing. Unidentified woman was conscious, unresponsive at the location. Yep, we have a typo. Right there. She was found unconscious at 3:30 this morning. Based on a preliminary investigation, officers learned that the workers brought the woman on their own to nearby Flushing Hospital, where she was pronounced dead. So, again, not a good emergency room to go to. It's better to just go to Booth Memorial. They have better resources over there. They're owned by New York Presbyterian, by the way. But anyhow, hospital staff alerted police to the death, and officers from the 109 precinct responded. Now, remember, this is on top of the precinct. So, of course, that's why they responded. Police did not have an identity of the woman, who was believed to be between the ages of 20 and 30 years of age. So her body was transferred to the medical examiner's office for an autopsy to determine the cause of death. Sources familiar with the case said there were no visible signs of physical trauma. So, shame on you, Channel 1, for not covering this. Alright, let's see if it's on their Queens section. Take a look. See if it's on the Queens section. Is it on the Queens section? No, it is not on the Queens section. So there you go. Same old Channel 1 just ignoring us as usual. Why aren't I surprised? Why aren't I surprised? So, now with that out of the way, we're going to go into a couple of stories that we're going to read from the Queens Courier right now. So let's click out of this. Let's click out of this. And let's get into this. So we have a robbery at a Chase Bank that happened on April 1st. Here we go. Police from the 112 precinct are searching for a crook who robbed a Chase Bank in Regal Park on April 1st. Authorities say the suspect, who was described as a man with a light complexion, thin build, entered the bank around 4:40 p.m. on Friday afternoon and approached the teller's window. he proceeded to pass a note to the 31-year-old female bank teller that he demanded cash. The teller, in fear of her safety, complied and gave the man an undisclosed amount of American currency. The suspect then fled on foot. No injuries were reported as a result of the incident. Police said the thief was last seen wearing a red cap, blue jeans, beige jacket, a black hooded sweatshirt, and a surgical mask. So there you go. You can thank COVID for a good disguise right there. That's a given. Boy, so there's other news we got to get into from Queens. So where do I want to start off from? Yeah, I want to start off from here because this is truly disturbing. Heavily tattooed man accused of stabbing in Jackson Heights. Police from the 115th Precinct in Jackson Heights are looking for a man in connection to an assault a block away from the Jackson Heights Roosevelt Avenue train station. On the night of Friday, March 18th, in the vicinity of Broadway and 73rd Street, a 26-year-old man and a heavily tattooed man began to argue. The tattooed man grabbed a knife from an unattended food cart and allegedly slashed the victim in his face, police said. The assailant fled westbound on Broadway. EMS responded to the crime scene and transported the victim to New York City Health Elmhurst Hospital Center, where he was listed in stable condition. So this is interesting. Crime Stoppers is offering a $3,500 reward. That's interesting. Okay. So this is the suspect description according to the Crime Stoppers unit. He was last seen wearing a dark t-shirt, blue jeans, and black sneakers. Okay, well, that's interesting. Very, very interesting. Regarding the reward, but we know what he clearly looks like. I mean, obviously, he's not going to get away. I mean, unless, what does he do? Remove all those tattoos with laser surgery? That's pretty expensive to remove. Especially the way doctors are jacking up their prices nowadays. It's just crazy. In fact, my parents had to overpay the dentist, which I don't even want to get into that a couple of weeks ago in Bay Terrace. So next up, we're going to move on to the Rockaways. NYPD is searching for a gunman who opened fire on a car down there. So let's see where this happened. At around 4:20 p.m. on Tuesday, March 15th, a 40-year-old man was driving eastbound on Beach Channel Drive with a 40-year-old woman in the passenger side. Near the intersection of Beach 69th Street, a silver BMW occupied by two individuals pulled up alongside the victim's car. Police said the individuals... this website's so buggy sometimes. I really miss the old layout of the Queens Courier. So let's get back on track. Police said the individuals accused the victim of recording them and engaged in a verbal dispute when the passenger in the BMW pulled out a handgun and allegedly fired it once at the victim's vehicle, striking it in the rear driver's side door. The Beamer then made a U-turn and fled eastbound on Beach Channel Drive. No injuries were reported as a result of the shooting. Only property damage was reported. The NYPD released a surveillance photo of the alleged gunman, who was described as a man with a dark complexion. He was last seen wearing a black hoodie with a black hooded winter jacket, 2 gold chains around his neck, black sweatpants, and blue sneakers. So, police is still looking for him. Yeah, and then Melinda Katz arraigned a murder suspect for a 2018 homicide, which I don't want to get into that, please. I'm going to focus on what's currently happening right now. Okay, so we got 2 more we're going to read. Jamaica. What happened here? Suspect allegedly lifted credit cards off of a woman at Jamaica Center. Oh, boy. And look at this. Purchases at a nearby business. So here we go. Police from the 103rd Precinct in Jamaica and Transit District 20 are looking for a man who allegedly robbed a woman of her credit cards inside the Jamaica Parsons Archer subway station last month. The 51-year-old woman was inside the station around noon on Tuesday, March 8th, when she realized that her wallet and her purse was open and her credit cards were missing. An unknown man was captured on surveillance camera at the Jimmy Jazz clothing store at 163-23 Jamaica Avenue later that day, making approximately $1,000 worth of unauthorized credit card purchases using the victim's credit card. The suspect fled the store eastbound on Jamaica Avenue. He has close cropped hair. He was last seen wearing a black jacket over a Brooklyn Nets sweatshirt. So what is Jimmy Jazz? I've never heard of that. Let's see. Jimmy Jazz is it's an urban type of clothing wear store. Yeah, they're in a lot of shady areas of the city. That's a given. They were founded on Delancey Street in Brooklyn. Okay, so what I want to do now is get to the last story of the night because I really want to watch WrestleMania. So believe me, I'm multitasking and there's a lot I have to do before I go to work tomorrow anyway. So last story, NYPD looking for 3 suspects who assaulted and robbed 2 men in Corona. Police from the 110 precinct in Elmhurst are looking for 3 men who attacked a man and a 14-year-old in Corona back in February. So they don't even list when did this happened. So the night that this happened, a 33-year-old man and a teenager were in the vicinity of 108th Street and Martin East Avenue. Okay, here we go. Not seeing anything here. Okay, so let's just focus back on this. One of them acted like he had a firearm, and the trio physically assaulted the 2 victims before taking off with their property, including a bicycle frame. EMS responded to the crime scene. The victims were taken to Elmhurst Hospital. So they were treated for minor injuries. So... Crime Stoppers released surveillance images of the suspect. One was wearing a dark jacket over a gray and black corded sweatshirt. The second suspect wore a black corded sweatshirt, and the third suspect wore a winter jacket over a dark corded sweatshirt. So, without further ado, we wrap up this video, much briefer than the other videos I've been doing recently, and obviously since I saw Pine Power LI do another video, and given that I heard about the anti-Semitic attack over the weekend, I just couldn't stay silent. So, that's it. And believe me, as long as Channel 1 is going to keep ignoring us, I might as well have to continue covering the news that matters to most of us. So that's it.